Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time!
It turns out Kazuchika Okada is leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, just moments before we went on the air, this news broke. New Japan actually broke the news on their official website. It says, and I'll just read it, quote, Kazuchika Okada will be leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling after the conclusion of his contract on January 31st, 2024. We apologize to fans for the abrupt nature of this announcement, but join them in wishing Okada the very best in his future. As the new beginning series begins this weekend, Okada will appear on February dates on February 11th in Osaka and February 23 and 24 in Sapporo. Changes will be made to forthcoming cards with an announcement to follow. We appreciate your understanding and continued support. And then Kazuchika Okada himself put out a statement, and that one reads, quote, I have nothing but gratitude for having been a part of New Japan Pro Wrestling since 2007 and for NJPW bringing me from a 19-year-old kid off the plane in Mexico to the rainmaker I am today. Thank you to the best of companies in NJPW, to the best of opponents that I've been able to face here, and to the best of fans that have cheered and booed over the years. I promise to make it rain in every match I have left, so keep watching. End quote. Guys, this is shocking. We talked about this on the show recently. I mean, nobody was really expecting him at this point in his career to leave Japan. We know that there would be big offers out there from AEW and WWE, but he's out. And this is a very interesting story. I'm going to throw it to Jesse first because you follow New Japan the closest of all three of us. React, your thoughts.
Stunned, in a word. I look at it. He came back from excursion. He was actually just on TNA the night after the Battle in the Valley with Will Ospreay, which I just watched this morning. Very good match. And if you remember Okada from the TNA days, you would think there was no way in hell he was even going to amount to anything. He looked not pathetic, but of course, in America, they don't necessarily know how to use Japanese exports. They roll him in New Japan in 2012, and he wins the championship within, I think, 6 months of him arriving. And he's been the man ever since. You know, when you take somebody out of their home, their comfort zone, you wonder what they're going to do, what's going to happen, and look at the predecessors before them, because we've seen Shinsuke Nakamura. NXT, he was fine. Main roster, not so much. I look at guys like Kushida, junior heavyweight level. They didn't know what to do with him. I am nervous a little bit for Okada just because the New Japan presentation is quite a bit different from what's going on here in America. AEW does an okay job of it, I feel. They have a good job doing strong styles, but the storytelling is a little bit different. And also storyline-wise, too. I think his verbiage and being able to get over on camera talking is kind of important. Very important, actually. Like, is he going to need a mouthpiece when he's here? So I am quite a bit surprised to summarize all of that, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about it, too.
Justin Joint, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm pretty stunned by it for kind of a multitude of reasons, although maybe we shouldn't be, because I think we would all agree that WWE and AEW could both throw a lot more money towards him than New Japan probably could. And, you know, speaking of where he is in his career, maybe that's what he's looking for, is like the most amount of money with the least amount of dates. He's thinking about, you know, the toll that strong style has probably taken on his body for this past decade. So it maybe makes some sense that he would take more money with possibly, I would assume, maybe a little bit lighter schedule. But having said that, I mean, what the hell is New Japan going to do? Losing Ospreay and Okada right now? Like, I'm really wondering if this could maybe mean that Mox is actually going to win the title, that he's going to beat Naito at that Chicago show. I mean, just because they need some star power now. And, you know, I know Naito is beloved, but I don't feel like he really moves the needle like maybe a Jon Moxley could. And especially, you know, if Okada is going to AEW, boy, their main event scene is stacked for 2024. If you think about Samoa Joe's at the top, Hangman, Swerve, we're both expecting those guys to get title runs hopefully soon. Ospreay coming in, and then Okada, and not to mention MJF, assumingly coming back at some point. And even pointing that out, maybe give some credence to the thought that he would go to WWE, where, you know, he's got a buddy over there in Nakamura who's probably going to tell him, yeah, it's freaking great over here. I mean, you know, my stories for the most part have sucked, and I'm basically a mid-carder, but I get paid a lot of money. So
Get to surf.
yeah, I get to surf all the time. But yeah, I guess for me, it's where's he going, and what does this mean for New Japan?
I mean, yeah, he's he's the never openweight 6-man tag champion right now with Ishii and Tanahashi. So he's got a belt right now. That announcement's interesting because it notes that he's going to be working, or he's leaving after the conclusion of his contract, but then it went on to say he will appear on some February dates, February 11th, 23rd, and 24th. In case you guys are wondering, I mean, it means he can't appear at the Royal Rumble unless they worked out some kind of agreement, which is always possible. But I mean, we don't have any solid word on where he's going. I think we all were kind of always of the agreement that we thought AEW would make the most sense, because it would leave it open for him to still work some New Japan shows if he wanted to. I mean, but everything I'm hearing right now is that, you know, WWE, of course they're interested, but they didn't think they'd have a realistic chance of getting him, that he wouldn't want to jump. AEW, I think, also didn't think that they could get him, but they were obviously very, very interested. What's very interesting is that earlier today, I'll throw this on the screen, Tony Khan tweeted, "It's going to be an amazing 2024." That was in the middle of the afternoon today at about 3:30 p.m. And then this news breaks a couple hours later. So people are going to be looking at that. Don't know if it's related or not, but that's kind of interesting. I think, you know, he could be talking about a number of things. He could be talking about Mercedes heading there too.
And Tony Khan is not one to stir up shit on Twitter anyways, so.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. But I mean, you know, if he knew this news was going to break or not, I mean, that's interesting. I think, you know, Fightful has a report up right now that just dropped, and I was kind of browsing through that on Fightful Select, and apparently Okada and New Japan officials had a meeting very recently to talk about, you know, what the future is going to look like. And the Fightful report notes that by the end of that conversation, it was very clear Okada was finishing up with the company. But even so, this is quoting now the report, the announcement still surprised several that Fightful spoke to, as they expected it next week. They didn't expect this announcement to come tonight. But it goes on to say that the departure is an amicable one and that the door is always going to be open for Okada to return. New Japan sources go on to say that they knew this was a reality that they could be facing. They're confident in their ability to create new stars to take his spot moving forward. To your point, Justin, of what this is going to mean for New Japan, we'll see. I mean, this is a guy who has main evented WrestleKingdom 8 times. He's won the G1 Climax, you know, 4 times, multi-time world champion. Jesse, you mentioned his appearance at TNA this past weekend. Apparently, everything went well there backstage. I mean, I don't imagine he's going to end up at TNA full time. That would be a huge shock. That would shock me more than him leaving New Japan. My God, I don't think that's going to happen. But who knows? Who knows? I mean, if I had to pick right now, I would guess AEW, not just because of Tony's tweet. It's just, it seems the most logical. But to your point, I mean, he does have friends at WWE. So, I mean, Jesse, what do you think? Which way are you leaning on this?
Oh, goodness.
Well, hey, real quick, just
ahead,
interrupt
Justin.
real quick,
Yeah,
Jesse. I
I'm
just want to,
thinking.
I want to know where you think he's going to end up and where you would like him to end up to both of you.
Yeah.
I'll say AEW for the exercise purposes. And Justin made the point. It's like that main event scene is just all of a sudden over flooded. I want him to go to WWE. I hate to say it.
Hey, dude, I think I'm in the same boat.
There's just so much more potential there for him. And oh my goodness, they have a baby face now. That hasn't been fed to Roman.
I think there's zero chance they'd have Okada beat Roman, though.
Agreed.
You know, in the end. But yeah, it would be very interesting to see him in that environment. they would have to make some pretty good videos to introduce him to the
Mhm.
crowd. I mean, it's such a different dynamic, WWE crowd versus AEW crowd, and how many are gonna be familiar with his work. I kind of agree with you guys. I don't know. I think AEW is more likely, personally, but I don't know if I wouldn't mind seeing it. You're gonna get those WWE trolls on social media that we get on our Twitter account sometimes. They're just gonna be like, "Oh yeah, Hunter got another one over on Tony," and just go nuts if he ends up there. That will be annoying. But I guess from a fan perspective, it would be pretty interesting to see.
You know,
I wouldn't be against it.
it seems like as far as AEW goes, we've kind of seen all the big matchups already. Obviously with Hangman and Swerve on the comeuppance, that those are right there for us with Okada. But I mean, like, we've gotten the Omega matches, we've gotten the Ospreay matches. Danielson has happened now. So like,
But we thought we were going to get another Danielson match, and that could be out the door if he goes to WWE.
Yep, absolutely. But I mean, doesn't like the thought of Okada versus Gunther tickle your sphincter just a little?
Yes, it does. I have to go to the bathroom all of a sudden, Justin.
That would be pretty friggin' awesome. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Yeah, there's a lot more. I agree. There's more fresh matches in WWE because he has worked with a lot of the stars in AEW at different points in time. With Ospreay headed there, with him doing the Bryan match, Jay White's there, and so on. So, boy, you might be onto something. I still don't think it's as likely. Apparently, AEW, when they were hoping they had a chance to sign him, according to the Fightful report, they were throwing around creative ideas, recently about what they would do if they were to sign him. The WWE sources, Fightful notes, hadn't even heard of any talks between Okada and WWE. But then again, we know that they're keeping things pretty close to the vest over there lately. I mean, people were apparently in the dark about Punk going there. So that doesn't mean that they're not involved. It's pretty damn intriguing. I did not expect to talk about this tonight with you guys. We have a main topic that was going to be the whole show, and now this little wrinkle thrown in. And there's never a boring time in the world of pro wrestling. That is
Okada,
for
sure. Drew McIntyre.
Oh yeah,
Okada Punk. We talked about that maybe in AEW at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
why not? There's a plethora of matches, I think, anywhere he goes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you guys have already kind of hit it. The concern with WWE is how would they present him? How would the Japan style translate? Because it definitely feels like after the Sami Zayn match at TakeOver, that Nakamura's wrestling style really got softened up by a lot, and it really took him, it feels like, quite a while to adjust to the WWE style. I would almost say years. So like, how would that transition be for Okada, where basically he can just walk into AEW and be the exact same guy?
Yeah, there's going to be a major difference this time around as well. I think if Okada goes to the WWE, because when AJ Styles landed there in 2016, Nakamura, I believe, in early 2017, the crowds were different because there was no AEW. So NXT was flooded with all of the really social media heavy fan base. And now it seems like for example, when we see Punk give all these interviews and try to go inside baseball, fans just sit on their hands. How many are really going to know about Kazuchika Okada? I don't think he's going to get that big of a pop like he would if he had left in 2016, 2017.
And that's why I think if they do get him, you have to debut him at WrestleMania, where you have that more of the mixed hardcore wrestling fans there who will know who it is and will give him the appropriate pop to let all the other morons there who don't follow anything outside of Connecticut, that, hey, this guy's a big deal.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. I'm shocked. I'm totally shocked. I could have never imagined him leaving New Japan. I just couldn't. The guy's been wrestling, he's later in his career now. The move overseas, it's got to be about a big payday. Was that you that said that, Justin? It's got to be about just cashing in, before he wraps it all up. Because,
hey, maybe he just really wants to work with All Japan, and he sees that WWE's got that connection now. This is his way in.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. I would bet on AEW, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Jesse?
I got one. As I mentioned earlier, now with Tanahashi as president, I think they can kind of revert back to what they did when he was brought up, when he was like 23, 24 years old, became the ace. As I mentioned, Shota Umino, they have Ren Narita, they have Yota Tsuji, they have a couple of other young lions that are like in their mid-20s that are ready. I think you can hotshot them now and go on with that. The bigger problem is going to be the lack of gaijin, the foreign stars that are coming in. So Justin made a great point. I think if you put the belt on Moxley, even for a few months, and have him work over there, would be a huge boon for business.
And I was almost wondering if that was like a what's the word I'm looking for here? Not like a gift, but like a token of appreciation that Tony Khan could do for New Japan. He's like, hey, I know I'm stealing Ospreay and Okada, but here, have Moxley for the spring and summer. Isn't that nice?
How beautiful is it that you can have a working relationship that benefits multiple promotions? I love professional wrestling in 2024.
Hate it or not, Tony Khan is flexing hard on Twitter right now, you guys, and we know that Tony is a guy who is not quiet on Twitter. And let me just put this on the screen. So it's going to be an amazing 2024. He said that 6 hours ago, and now just a few minutes ago, he replies to that with a meme of Marlo from The Wire. My name is my name. Which,
hell yeah.
Now, so like, I actually have not seen The Wire, by the way. So I was talking with our friend Garrett Gonzalez here about this on text while we were having this conversation, and he informed me that in The Wire, Marlo is basically he wants everyone to know he's the baddest dude in town. Accurate? Yep. So he is flexing hard on Twitter right now. Man, Okada to AEW? We'll find out.
Boy, that sure seems like it. Not only that, but obviously Mercedes, which has been the rumor.